Mm, it better be on. Do I look ridiculous? Hopefully I look fine. Anyway, yeah, this is me. I'm just clocking. I don't want to say it like that. Anyway, it's like, you know, thinking that there's an audience. All right. Yes, there is a quantum. You have an idea. You tell the funniest joke to the wall. Um, why are very, very funny people telling all their best jokes to the wall? Like, y'all need to realize that even if there's a quantum field, even if there's a, you know, you can be in the hive mind, Do realize, though, that we're also on, like, an Earth. We're on, like, a planet where, like, humans can talk and interact with each other. Okay, it'd be like that. It'd be like that. It'd be like, oh, but I can't. Who the fuck do I talk to? Or how come when I go out somewhere and I dress up, it's still embarrassing? At least they know that they're doing the right thing, but they're like, how come it's so embarrassing? Alright, I get it. It's horribly embarrassing to be yourself. Like, another level of embarrassing in this time period. It's like, we feel oddly out of place. Anyway, we're not out of place. But either way, people tell their funniest jokes to the fucking wall. Because they don't feel connected with the people they're around. Some people want to dress up, some people fucking don't want to because they're like, yeah, but the people that I'm around. Yeah, people are just, I think in stagnancy, you know how, like, if you know you need a life change, because by the way, life changing is a part of life. Like, if you need to be reminded of that, people changing, people moving, that is just life. But the irony is that there's always, of course, a delay, there's always a stagnancy. People want to change their life, but then they get, it continues, which makes sense. But then sometimes, though, you know how it starts being a little bit too stagnant? It starts being like, alright, okay, nothing is changing, this doesn't feel right. And it's like, yeah, it's stagnancy. It's stagnancy. And then these people kind of start going crazy because they're like being way more themselves. They might even be like confident in themselves, but only to the wall. They tell their best. They talk to the wall. They tell jokes to the wall. I'm like, yes, there might be an audience, but it's like, but there isn't one though. Alright? Alright. Like, hear me out. If you want to get all spiritual, okay, there might be the energy is probably being spoken to. But I'm not kidding when I say there's no audience. Alright, I'm not going to say anything for certain, because I am aware that there's so many different sides to spiritual perspectives. So there might be like, oh, there is a audience out there. But I'm like, oh, but please, I don't know. If you want to hear a little bit of a different spiritual perspective, in relation to like this lifetime, it's like, do you realize that if you want people to listen to what you're saying, even if it's just like something lighthearted, whether you're someone who gives advice, like me, but whether you're someone who gives advice or whether you're just someone who's just like lighthearted and you want to tell jokes and be yourself, realize that you can't do that through the quantum field. You can't do that through the air. You have to do it in real life. You have to put on a camera. You have to be someone who does reels like YouTube. If you want to start a YouTube channel but then you never get around to it, like it's like it starts to stop making sense. It ain't spiritual after, just not doing the right thing. There's a reason why you're here on Earth. You're supposed to kind of take things from the quantum and put them on Earth. Which means things like making content. It means recording it. It means talking to people around you. That's a big one, But either way, there are things like writing things down. Like if something was valuable information, people don't just think about it. They write it down. Because they know that people need to hear it. They need to read it. You don't just think that, oh, maybe hopefully through the air someone's listening, or no, the audience. It's like, okay, that might exist, but I'm like, it doesn't exist here. Alright? That's my harsh spiritual perspective. I could be like really nice and be like, oh, the audience is real, but it's like, no, it's not. No, it's not. you're here, you're on Earth. If you want someone to listen to you, you got. People are so funny. Yes, spiritual people can hear you. I'm not kidding when I say I hear these people mostly because of the internet. Like literally, if I understand these things, a lot of time it's because I'm seeing it on the internet. It's just that I can also see that there's people who aren't on the internet also doing it. But I'm not kidding when I say I have that insight because of the people posting. So even me, even though I have weird insight spiritually into what people are doing, I'm like, yeah, but I still see most of this through the internet, people who actually post. There's still a literalness of what's actually happening. People who are ignoring it and not posting it, or not even having friends to tell the jokes to. I'm like, alright. I'm glad about how funny people are, about realizing, like, how do I discard the weird fear of being myself? And I'm like, well, if you want my advice, by the way, realize that being yourself is not just a act of confidence. Realize that being yourself has got to do with everything you do. Every single thing in your life, each habit, each, like, thing you choose, that is an act of being yourself. So, for instance, let's say you're like a picky eater, and you pick the food that you like. That's an act of being yourself, because you're choosing the food you really wanted. Or let's say you're someone who always chooses something, and you're like, today I feel like actually, like, picking a different meal. That's an act of you being yourself, living in the moment. Obviously, by the way, don't, like, because, for instance, have you ever, like, picked a new food and then been like, oh, actually, I regret that? So, for instance, you try something new and you're like, oh, never mind, I actually just want to eat what I usually eat. This is a weird thing that can happen where someone tries to be themselves more, but then they end up kind of being like, oh, so be like, oh, let me try, like, yeah, they'll be like, yeah, the irony, anyway. So yeah, don't let that discourage you if you like eat a certain food and go, oh, actually would have preferred it if I just chose something simple. It's like, realize that that's part of the process for a moment, that you might pick the wrong thing. You might, like, wear a color. You're like, oh, I'm gonna be myself more, and then you wear like a something orange or something, and then you go, all right, turns out that's not my color. That can happen to someone who's trying to be themselves more. But I'm like, what if I were to tell you that's just a part of the process? As soon as you start living in the moment, you won't be making mistakes. You'll be like, no, you actually do know what color. You do know what to pick on a menu. And it will be something different each time, but you actually start to live in the moment. Anyway, it's all, like, even if you want to be confident, the irony, how people talk about in spirituality, how sometimes if you want to get somewhere, sometimes it's about slowing down. Yeah, that happens with confidence. People they kind of try and speed things up. Like, what if I were to tell you it's in the current moment? It's in the things like what you order on a menu. Don't overlook those things. That's you living in the moment. That's you relaxing. That's you like being yourself. Even if you're not necessarily being loud yet, you might look at that as, oh, that's me being quiet. I'm like, yeah, but that actually is you being yourself anyway. So that's my advice. Anyway. And, like, realize that, like, the jokes you tell, people need to hear them. You can't be just saying them to the wall. People literally be themselves to the wall. And I'm different. Anyway.